Now we have our piece complete, glued up, added in the detail around all the pieces, joints glued up nice and tight. I went through and just sanded this with a 120 grit on my orbital sander. I've tried a lot of different just straight stains, gel stains, water-based stains, or water-based dyes, and kind of came up with a few random different results. So regular stain, we're going to get a little bit more, it's going to reflect off the light, a lot more of the lines. We're going to get some blotchy if we don't get everything just right. A little bit of discoloration between each of those. So looked at a lot of videos and saw some gel stains. Really liked that color. We still have a little bit of variation between the grains. That was another gel stain I picked up. I think this is going to be a little bit too red, but I'm going to save that for another project. That turned out really nice. So what I ended up with that I'm really liking, and I was a little bit afraid of them at first, Transfast makes these little 1 ounce powdered water-based dyes, which is another huge part that it's just a water-based. So basically it's put a little bit of powder in warm water, shake it up or stir it around, and you have a dye. So the nice thing about the powders, and I bought 5 or 6 different colors and laid them all out, started playing with them, and I said, you know what, this one's too dark. And then came up with this one and said that one's too light, and did a little mixing and said, that one's still, it's brown and I want a little bit of a hint of red to it. So mixed some mahogany and some antique cherry, kind of half and half, and again came up with a really nice color that I'm going to save the recipe for some other project that calls for something deep and dark and rich red kind of thing. But what I ended up with is a 3-part brown mahogany, 1 part antique cherry, and went on really nice. I just soak it, let it soak in, do its thing. It's going to turn out really light, or a little bit lighter than what you think it's actually going to finish up as once you get a couple of coats of the water-based polyurethane. It tends to darken up a little bit. So with that, I just have a little sample mixed up, and again, if you sand very high grit, 320, 400, try and get this ultra smooth, it's not going to have a surface to soak in. And that's one of the nice things about the dyes. They're really permanent. So once you're there, you're there. It soaks in and you see the grain through the clear coat, but it doesn't give you a lot of that change in color between all the growth rings in the wood. So let's have not tried this on, or I've tried this mixture over here, but I haven't tried it on my test piece. So I'm going to go ahead and dye this up, see how it works, and see if we have a winner. Okay, so two things that I've kind of noticed while I'm doing this. First of all, gloves, not just, you know, because I don't want to wash my hands afterwards or whatever. The dye will soak into your skin apparently pretty healthily, and it'll be a couple of weeks before you get that color off your hand. So unless you want to have people asking a whole bunch of questions where your hands have been when you're painting brown dye all over, use gloves. Second thing, it can go on a little bit uneven, and you saw I kind of went over everything and just kind of had everything saturated. That really helped even it out. These were a lot darker red wood, the dividers. This piece and this piece were a lot lighter, and this was a much redder piece. So if I would have put stain on it, just a regular conventional oil-based stain, or even the gel stain to some extent, I think I would have gotten some of that color differential. Now I think you probably see, so right along that edge, you can see the dye kind of penetrating in a little bit. It'll continue for a little bit. A couple of things that's awesome about this. So just water-based doesn't, I mean, it'll evaporate eventually if you don't cap it, but I haven't tried to see how long I can make a bottle last, but I'm thinking it'll hang around a bit. Cleans up easy. I just applied with a foam brush. On all of these sample pieces, I was just giving it an hour to dry to the touch, and then putting a